It's fun. It's wild. It's Dad's Gone Crypto.
Welcome to Dad's Gone Crypto. I'm with host Crypto Dad Mike and Crypto Dad Ryan, and I'm Crypto Dad Sean. And we have an awesome surprise for you today. We've got a lawyer coming on the show, and he's not charging us. Not that we know. If he does, please sponsor us so we can pay our bills. But Jonathan, he's incredibly knowledgeable in the space. So he's by day trade a business lawyer, does with contracts. If you're looking to set up a business, you're looking to get legal advice, he's the guy to speak to. But what makes him very special is that there's not very many crypto lawyers. And what that means is he's not just saying, oh, let me read what crypto is about and let me just digest it and give it to you and charge you a fortune. He's actually in the space. He's buying NFTs. He's selling NFTs. He's getting into projects. He's been in this industry for some time. And that's a powerful person to know. So, so we're very excited to rack his brain about certain things and obviously get the alpha information for you guys. And just bringing it to you and helping you guys navigate the space a little bit more carefully. So this last week, the crypto markets have pumped a little bit.
What's happening?
The FOMO is back.
It's going to 80,000. It's going to 1 million Bitcoin. Woo! How does that show go? I can't even do it. We'll figure out the BitConnect story. But Ryan, tell us a bit about the markets have pumped. What do you think is caused by? Is a rally? What's happening?
Yeah, I think honestly, it's just the kind of standard cycle, right? I think we're in a bear market rally right now. I don't think this is the beginning of the long-term bull market. I don't think we're anywhere close to that yet. But it's pretty standard. It's pretty much like last week where we're heading back up. We've got a nice little rally going, and let's play it, have some fun, and kind of play those altcoins while they start pumping here. I think as Bitcoin maybe settles down and drops a little bit, we're going to start seeing a lot of the alts really pump, and that's a fun time. And just be ready to take profits because don't think this is going to be a sustained thing. I think we're going to have a nice little rally and then probably get back down and maybe test those lows again later this year. So stay safe, and if you're trading it, stay safe. If you're investing, might want to wait out until we start retesting some lows again.
Take profits and save your money. And Mike, You've been in the crypto space for some time as well. You've probably seen this a few times. Do you think this little bump up is going to last, or what's your thoughts on the market?
No, I don't think it'll last in the short term. I kind of have a different vision than Ryan has, but we overlap quite a bit as well. I think we've bottomed out a little bit, and this is just like the entire crypto game is like these pumps and dumps actually are basically liquidation hunters. They're liquidating longs and liquidating shorts. I think that happens on a lot of centralized exchanges, on which futures or perpetuals are traded. I think that what happens. Just the market gets pushed up a lot. A lot of shorts were liquidated, and that pushes it higher even still, because if a short is liquidated, it turns into a buy actually. So it pushes the market up more. So I think it'll come down, test the lows, like Ryan said. But I think these are also bottom signals. Like, I'm not a technical trader, but I think these are bottom signals, and we might go sideways a little bit or trend slightly up. And I've seen upticks in the NFT space, like I mentioned last episode, and also the meme coins and shit coins. So yeah, I'm actually quite positive with these uptick. I didn't trade it, but I have a positive feeling, optimistic feeling about the future. But I might be a perma bull. I don't know. We'll see.
Nice.
What are your thoughts, Sean?
What's my thoughts? Save money, make money, build.
Yeah,
it's a bit too scary for me to invest right now. So I'm taking the approach of just building, learning, acquiring more knowledge, getting alpha from our guests, and learning from you guys. And, when the opportunity arises, I'm going to have some, they call it dry powder. They'll have some cash flow to put in, and I'm going to choose my targets carefully. So that way I have learned quite a bit in getting, some highs and some damaging lows. So I have a strategy in mind. So I just want to try to stick to that rather than FOMOing in and everyone's saying, let's buy, let's do, let's go crazy. And then I lose my dry powder, and then you're like, what do I do now? The game's over. So you got to go back to my fiat, work hard again, and put it back in. So no, just building at the moment.
I think that's a great strategy.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think that's a great strategy. FOMOing in is mostly where you lose money, right? People that FOMO are exit liquidity for the people that bought carefully. And I think Jonathan, like you said, is a great alpha provider. And I'm sure he can provide some insights for us. Yeah.
Super excited to have him on the show. And Mike, tell us, you did an awesome dad thing this weekend. We're so proud of you. You went on a masterclass barbecue and all you can drink experience. I'm so freaking jealous. Tell us a bit about your experience this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't drink that much because there's like an
all
open
right,
fire.
And that concludes our show today, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so compared to you guys, because Ryan, you're in the States, and Sean, you're in South Africa, I'm the barbecue noob here, right? I don't even own a barbecue, actually.
So what you're saying is you burnt it.
So I gave my friend a workshop for a barbecue workshop for his birthday, and we both went together, and it was great. There were like 10 barbecues there, and 40 people doing like a workshop. We get like explanations or short shows about how to prepare large pieces of meat. Because in my country, the principle of barbecue is just put some like tiny small pieces of meat on the barbecue. Just grill it,
wieners,
and burn it as fast as you can. Yeah, wieners, exactly. Wieners, small pieces of bacon, etc. And then nobody likes it, but I don't. And then you eat it. Hey, we had a barbecue. So, and my friend got a really good barbecue, top of the line barbecue, a while back, and he cooked like short ribs or something the other day, and it's great. So I'm very interested in really preparing a good piece of meat, and enjoying that, obviously. And it's quite a turnaround because I was like a vegetarian basically 2 years ago or a year ago. So
wow,
we should have vetted.
Yeah.
We should have vetted.
We should have vetted.
You should have known,
vegetarian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm not saying an active. I'm not saying an activist.
All right. He said it was a couple years ago, so
it was years. Okay,
he's come to his senses.
Exactly. Yeah, I just it was basically just wanted to. I did eat meat, but I was a flexitarian or something. But I just want to eat a good piece of meat, not just the
flexitarian
cheapest
shit. Could you
get.
explain a flexitarian to me? That's a term. That is a term I have never heard before. A flexitarian.
It's like
you eat veggies and then show your muscles in the gym, or what?
Yeah, you're quite flexible about your vegetarianism.
Oh, okay.
That's what the wife says.
Yeah. The wife barely eats meat, but I snuck in a rib here and there.
And a wiener.
No comment.
No comment. For the safety of Michael.
That didn't go in the barbecue for sure.
And it wasn't char grilled, huh?
Yeah,
all right,
so
cool.
it was great, yeah.
Did you have fun, eh? So how long was it? A 3 hour?
No, 5 hours.
Oh, sheesh.
5 hours. Nice.
5 hours.
What kind of meat did you guys cook in that 5 hour time?
Yeah, well, that's quite embarrassing. We started off with chicken legs. So,
okay.
Nothing wrong.
Like
that's
chicken,
all right.
chicken popsicles or something. And then the next was some sort of large steak. And we ended up with like some type of dessert, but I think it was basically the experience how to operate that particular barbecue, and they gave like instructions in between, which was awesome.
If they're chicken popsicles, I'm thinking maybe you didn't cook them quite long enough.
I'll show
cold is
let's
bad.
let's show a picture in the show. I'll show you what I made.
All right. We'll take a look at what you made.
Can you just add some flames to it, like little moving flames, so people can see it's hot?
I can sure try.
Oh, that's awesome, Michael. Yeah,
That's great.
and your mate was very lucky to have that present. In South Africa, we just give high fives.
Yeah.
We give each other candles because of the load shedding blackouts.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, guys. So now we're going to bring on Jonathan, the much-awaited lawyer of the show. We are going to dive deep into some crypto law, and the fun part about this is that not everybody has access to a crypto lawyer. And Jonathan's going to share his wisdom and experience with us, and we're just going to take it. We guys around a barbecue or a briar pit or a grill, and we are just going to swing it across and just have some fun. Thank you for joining us, Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. You're making me hungry. I should have prepared some food.
Steaks.
You got some ribs ready.
Do you? Are there ribs?
They're being air-mailed now.
So, Jonathan, tell us a bit about yourself. Are you a crypto dad, or are you just a dad, or are you just going to be a dad? Tell us a bit about yourself and your business.
I identify as a crypto dad, lawyer, I guess, husband, a bunch of things. So I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for about 13 years. I'm in Toronto, and I'm a business lawyer. So corporate law, any sort of business needs that people have, a lot of small businesses. And I've also, since 2016, been into crypto. So as I've sort of branched out and met people, there's been some overlap. A lot of that is projects that need help. And it looks very similar. It's business. It's just often these are businesses that are in different countries and, they're following contracts. They're drafting contracts with each other that are important so they know what the deal is. But maybe there's looser ideas of what's going to happen if one of us breaks the contract because you're in Malta and you're in, some other country. But for the most part, I've been helping projects with their legal needs. The overlap between crypto and what I do is really just the business element, investing and the laws about working together as different companies in this space.
And Jonathan, tell us, getting into the crypto space. So did you get in through the business side of things, or did you have a friend that introduced you into crypto? How did you start your journey, and when was it?
Yeah, so I think it was 2016. I was on vacation with my then, I want to say girlfriend. No, we were married. We can re-record this, right? And we were in Vegas at a pool, and a friend of mine texted me, called me, and he's like, "Look, there's these things called Ethereum. They're $50. I want you to buy 5 of them." I'm like, I don't even know what this means. I went on to Quadriga, I think it was at the time, and I spent $250 US. Of course, you all. That's what everyone means when they say bucks. And I bought 5, and then I forgot about it. A year later, he's like, "Okay, now what you're going to do is do this thing to put them into some ICOs." And then I forgot about them. And the next thing I knew, they were worth like $80,000 or something insane. Because by the time I was putting them in the ICOs, I think they must have been gone from 500 to like 250. So already my 250 was like 1250. And he's like, "Just put it in here." So somehow I made a lot of money. I managed to take out a couple tens of thousands of dollars before everything all just went to zero. And that was sort of my first foray. By the time Bitcoin bottomed, I, like everybody else, was like, "Oh, that's still a thing," because it was just such a fall from grace. I mean, what was Ethereum at the bottom, like $80 or something just crazy.
Right.
And so it wasn't. I got back in a little bit late, but when I did, I have actually a personal friend who's like a YouTube influencer who sort of got me into the scene, and I started meeting people and realizing that this hobby of mine, this interest works. I actually have some skills that I can help people with.
Very cool. So obviously your highs were making some good money in crypto. Did that 80,000 top any other project, or was that kind of like your high, and you've kind of just been moseying on along in the space?
No, I mean, since I got back in, there were lots of really good pre-sales that I had gotten access to because of like in the last cycle. So, it was fun. Like I'm not going to get into details about
Sure.
the numbers, but yeah, no, it was a good cycle, and because of I think because of that experience, I got out when it was pretty frothy. So you know, I think they say the third cycle is where you start to make some real money.
Hmm.
Yeah, we were
So
just
they
talking
say.
about
We're
that.
waiting on that.
Well, I think
So,
you got about at least a year. Like, I mean, this is not going to be a good
Yeah.
year, I think, in terms of people's finances in general. So we need to get out of that, and then you'll probably see some maybe 2024, 25.
Right.
I think last episode we were discussing some heart-wrenching moments, and Ryan and Michael was almost in tears telling us the story of how they how things went bad in crypto. I think Ryan he was telling us the story in black and white, but
Wow.
not that old, eh? Still not yet. Are there any
Well,
gut-wrenching moments?
before that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, anyone who's been in crypto a while knows that you're dodging bullets at all times. And, the mightiest have fallen of security professional, basically, hobbyist security professionals that lose millions of dollars. And not only that, but even if you're just hopping onto an exchange for a little bit, you still have that risk of, you know, like I said, mentioned Quadriga. My friend had showed me how to take it off and put it onto MetaMask, but I don't think he might have said not your coins, not your crypto or something, but I don't know. We weren't that nervous about it. Um, and there's just been so many rugs and so many hacking, social engineering's gotten so good that, I mean, if you've been in this long and you're playing, you've been rugged. So I'll take that back. But to not just lose everything is pretty lucky or smart. But it takes both.
yeah. Would
Because
you
it only
say your
takes one
risk
night
tolerance?
of like clicking the wrong Discord link or something and being like, oh, you're just going to hate yourself for it. You could be so smart, but you do things when you're tired. And that's why I like the ledger, just because it gives me another thing I have to do. Like if it was just clicking sign on MetaMask, I don't know that I'd trust myself. I just don't have the ability to guarantee myself that I won't fuck that up sometimes. Oh, are we swearing on here? Sorry.
Right. Yeah,
That's
it's no problem.
not crypto kids, right?
Yeah, we fucking do.
You can bleep. You can bleep it. You can take this all out.
Uh-huh.
Or not. We'll see how much
So-
YouTube docks us. Mark, you were saying, sorry, man.
So would you say your your risk tolerance went up when with your experience in crypto and obviously with the Quadriga exchange? I think they eventually closed down, right? And the rugs you mentioned.
Well, so Quadriga, the founder, died in India on a vacation with all the keys, I think. There's actually a much more interesting a Netflix documentary about it, but that's the face of it. My risk tolerance has gone up because of the fact that I have a job, and like I said, the seed money from my foray into crypto it's the house's money to some extent. Um, it's very, very, so you see the things, the success stories in crypto, and it's the same with any investing. You almost can't possibly do well if you need that money to pay your bills, right? Because the second you do well, you're selling your winners to pay your bills. And I think that that affects my risk tolerance. But look, my mortgage just doubled. So, that changes too. At some point, it's going to be like, oh, maybe I should actually turn this into human money and use it for my family.
Instead of that fun internet money, right?
Well, it's like, well, sorry, honey, we can't afford that. And it's like, oh, how much was that JPEG I just bought?
Right. So, Jonathan, you've been a lawyer for, you said, over 13 years, right? And now you've kind of you're not just an investor in crypto, you've brought law into the crypto space, right? Your practice. So what exactly does that mean in the crypto space? Like what are your typical clients? What role does law play within the crypto space?
Yeah, so a lot of my clients people will come to me and say, like, this is my project, is there something we should think about? And I'll basically say, here are the options for corporate structures, different countries. If what you're doing is on the up and up completely, like no problem being in your own country. I'll tell them to work with it. Like I'm not a tax advisor, especially not international. So, they may want to speak to someone to give them some tax advice. But in any case, we decide on a structure of, business, usually a corporation or an LLC. And this serves really two purposes. One is you can have something for all the team members and partners to sort of say, I actually have a piece of this, and we have a shareholders agreement in place. There are rules. So even if the guy's really, he's in Thailand or somewhere where you might have difficulty suing and then enforcing a judgment, well, at least, we live in a pseudonymous world, and at least, okay, here's the contract he signed, and everyone can see he's a liar if he's going to run off with your money. And so there's something valuable to a good contract. And it's not necessarily like, even if it's not necessarily, does it follow the laws of this country or this country? A good contract is readable by anybody. And it's like, okay, this is what you agreed to. So that's really where it becomes important in terms of the contracts and setting them up as an entity. Sometimes I can set people up with a Hong Kong trust that owns a company in another country in a very good tax location where you're the beneficiary of the trust. The trust owns the company. That's what's on the name of everything. And if someone really wants to find out who's there, they can go to Hong Kong and sue the trust and show that they, have a lawful reason. We have to KYC you at the ass, because if you're running, weapons to Iran, then that's our fault. That's going to come down on us. So we KYC you like crazy, and then protect your identity from within Hong Kong. But most people don't need that. So it can go from that to being like, hey, I have a client who's in Ontario, and we just set him up an Ontario company because he has, he's not selling securities. He's just running a business that's crypto related. And, there's no reason, if he wants to grow in the future and be part of Silicon Valley or our version of it, then it doesn't hurt to have a, decent jurisdiction. So it's not necessarily cookie cutter, but that's the sort of thing that we think about. What are the relationships that you have? Okay, you've got your coders, you've got people making art for you. Let's make sure your company owns that art properly. So just like any business law in general, it's like, what are the relationships? Let's shore up those contracts.
Great.
And Jonathan, what are you finding in the space that people are? So you've drawn up contracts, you legally advising either individuals or projects or people, whatever. What are some of the common patterns you're finding in the space that people are now like asking you for additional advice, right? So yes, the first step is to protect it. Now that you protect it, what are common threads that are happening in the space that people should take note of?
To come on their YouTube channel.
Hey, sorry there, Mike?
So
to come on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. No. So, really the vast majority of people will come to me and ask me about something that I can't really advise on. Right. So it's almost like if someone came to you and you guys live in legitimate jurisdictions and was like, no, but like I have this really good idea for a brothel, and we're going to sell cocaine out of the bottom, and it's like, okay, but you're not allowed to do that. And they're like, no, we're using the blockchain, right? So like a lot of the time I just have to tell people like, okay, do it. Maybe try to do it anonymously, because you're not allowed to do that. And if you do it, you're going to get caught, or you might. What am I going to do as a lawyer? Like, all I can do is tell you you're not allowed to do that. So for example, someone will come to me and say, here's an example. Someone came to me and said, I have I'll try not to say too much about the project. I don't think it's that good of an idea, but I want to get people from Web 2 into NFTs. And so I'm thinking, okay, so he's going to run like a gallery, right? So you buy the NFT, I'm going to custody it for you. And then if you ever want to sell it, we can work that out. Well, maybe there's a way to make that legal. I don't have a problem with that. It's art. Let's figure it out. And he's like, well, we're going to actually basically just make an ERC20 that fractionalizes the ownership of some NFTs, and we'll custody it for them. I was like, okay, so on one hand, from one angle, you are selling an unregistered security that people are going to buy, hoping to sell for more money, and then you're custodying it for them. And on the other angle, you're selling a shitcoin and not even giving it to the people, right? And then it's like, well, it's trying to tell me why it's, okay, but how do we do it? I'm like, I don't know, maybe find a country that has no laws, because what people I think don't understand, and there's all this argument about securities and what's not a security. And I think if you want to hear someone explain it best, I think Michael Saylor has a pretty good grasp of it. But really, it's you know, would it be unethical for me to tell you to go buy it right now? If I said I think corn's going to do really well this year, it's not unethical for me to go tell you to buy corn. If I think house prices are going to go up, it's not unethical, even if I'm wrong, to say I think you should go buy a house. It's a good place to put your money. But if I say that about Facebook, where they can, there's a million things that could go wrong. There's a million secrets that they could have. It completely relies on their performance. They can print more shares. They can do a million things. That becomes unethical unless I say this is not financial advice, which of course doesn't really help. It's like, hitting someone and saying, I'm not hitting you. This is not financial advice, but you should buy Facebook stock. Well, that's interesting. It really sounded like financial advice. Let's go ask someone later. Right. So, a lot of that stuff doesn't, I guess I'm kind of ranting, but the point is most of these things are securities. Ethereum to me is obviously a security. They can deem it not a security, but the word has a meaning. You can say it's not a security, and then all of a sudden the CEO goes, "I quit," and the price falls, and it's like, well, shit, that really felt like a security. So I think the problem that people have is they're looking for legal advice on how to sell unregistered securities. And so, okay, I can give some caveats and say, here's the terms of service where we make sure people are promising not to sue you and explaining that they know they can't make money. In fact, they're probably going to lose money. It's for fun. You can write all that shit. But at the end of the day, you're selling unregistered securities in most cases. Um, you can be a blockchain company that writes smart contracts and then says, we're just a foundation that cares about that thing that's already out there in the wild. But if you're making a token, you're probably selling unregistered securities, and the SEC seems to be interested in that right now. So, that's
So, Jonathan, I just want
that's
to
the sort of thing
clarify.
that I'm getting. Sorry. Just so back to your
Yeah,
question, that's the sort of thing that I'm seeing a lot of.
cool. Just to clarify, so we can't open a cocaine business in a brothel.
No, that's the thing. You can. Your just lawyer's not going to be that
Just making
helpful.
100%
I mean,
sure. We might think it's a
yeah,
good
no,
idea
like
as dads, our retirement when we go through our menopause.
yeah, it's like I'll be
Anyway.
your best client. No, I mean on the ERC20 thing.
Do you feel that most shit coins that are launching right now have like anon teams because of they're selling or launching unregistered securities, or is it just because if it fails
They
or
should.
rocks?
It's a smart look. I think that there's something really to be said for I'm going to say it wrong. Pseudonymity, right? Pseudonymous,
Right.
because you can prove your identity cryptographically. You are who you say you are. A reputation, and that becomes very, very real, and will be even more real in the future going forward. More important, it's like you have these digital communities that you're in, and then if you're out of those in our world, well, you have neighbors, but do you even know them? Like we're much closer to our digital neighbors who we have meetings of the minds with, and so I don't know that it's you. I think it's very important, and I don't think it's as important for me to run out and say, "Here's my first name and my last name, and by the way, I have a middle name that I don't use," as opposed to like if I were to rug somebody using this identity, well, there goes that any reputation or clout that I've built in this space, which may be more important to me. Maybe it's not, but at least you can gauge, how important is that for this guy? Should I trust him? I think it's going to be a big part of our future. I lost my thread there. What were we talking about again? How did I get there? Reel me back.
No, we're going to change some gears here. I wanted to find out. You seem to be a lover of NFTs. Is that true or false?
Yes. I love the idea
And
of
why?
NFT. Yeah. So for me, the real utility is community. Like I said, that is the crypto. So when I was 10 or 11, I was born in '84. So this is like '95, really early me getting the internet. And I was on bulletin boards, and IRC I was really into IRC. I guess I was like 12, and there was like, it was called Wares, where you just like pirated games and music and movies, and then they'd have these servers, and there was politics to it all too. So like I'd move up in the ranks, I'd become like an operator, I could ban people. Now I run a server, I can actually go to the meetings where we talk about what we're going to do going forward. And it felt cool. And I was 13, and it was a community that I was in, and my nickname mattered, my real name didn't, no one knew it. and then sort of like life happened, right? And I came back to when it at least crypto. Like I've always been interested in technology, but coming back to crypto, and more recently with NFTs, especially, it's all of a sudden we're back to that on different platforms like Discord and whatever. But we're cryptographically proving our membership, whether it's because you could afford an NFT and cared enough to hold on to it, or whatever the reason that you're with these people, you become a group, and now you can cryptographically prove that. So I think the big utility is community. I also think the art side is really cool. There's a lot of really cool artists. I've been going up like Super Rare lately, um, and it's fun to look at people like Sotheby's. In the bull market, Sotheby's is auctioning this stuff, and now they're sitting there like, "Here's my new piece," and maybe it'll get a bid, maybe it won't, and they're actually really interested. Like if you bid, they start tweeting like, "Hey, this guy bid, thanks," and everyone's like, "GM," and whatever. It's a really cool community, and everyone who's commenting is an artist. You can go peek in and see what they have, and sometimes it's actually incredibly affordable, and you can make a collection of art that um, I wouldn't go investing a ton of money into it, but it's possible if you're paying attention and seeing who other people are interested in, you might find some early piece that in the future becomes very valuable. So it's fun, and you can collect it and you can display it.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool.
That's pretty interesting. Like that, there was an artist recently that in real life destroyed the art and minted the NFT of those. I think it was like the Dots. I can't recall his name exactly.
Yeah,
But
I have that. I think I have he sent me, was that the one with the post? I also got a poster, I think. Is that one?
oh, do you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, that's cool. I have it rolled up still.
OG of NFTs, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
Well,
cool.
I mean, I bought some crypto kitties, but that didn't go very well for me. I mean, I might have spent like $300, which at the time might have been one ETH, but it was fun.
Right.
That's as OG as I
Yeah,
get.
yeah. That was basically the first NFTs, right? The crypto kitties.
Well, it wasn't the first NFTs, but it was the first, like, definitely the first gamified, or at least the most gamified attempt at it. But
Mm.
I don't
Right.
think the first NFTs minted. I mean, like CryptoPunks seemed stupid to me at the time. Um, I remember seeing Elio shilling Bored Apes, and I was like, that's pictures of monkeys that some people should find offensive. And then, so of course I missed. Look, my biggest miss was I was in law school and I was bored, and I took a loan out of for $10,000 and started like I built a business making websites for people in India. But I was sitting there bored. Like I was just like, I need money so I can do something like a business thing because I'm bored. And I remember seeing Bitcoin. It was at $1, and I heard about it. And I was like, this is kind of neat. And I looked, and it was like this was at 20 cents. This is a great way for me to turn $10,000 into $2,000. Forget about it. And then I just sort of
Right.
never thought about it again until like I was like, well, like whatever. It was that at least 1,500. Um, and so, but the reality is, I never would have felt like what would I have done by the time I hit
Right.
50,000, 100,000. I'm in law school. Like that's a lot more money than I had in total. So how many multiples of my own net worth was I going to wait? I wasn't going to be a billionaire. It's just not possible. I'd have to have lost it and then found it.
Right. I
Yeah.
think that's how a lot of guys did it. They lost all that stuff they mined and then happened to get back into it,
Yeah.
5 years
Well, you
later.
actually have to be an idiot, right?
Right. if you weren't an idiot, you probably sold, the stuff
You
you
should
bought
have
at
at
a buck,
least,
you probably sold at $15. But
yeah, or at least, 500. How are you going to go to 20,000, 40,000? Like
yeah,
you have to be just
you're
absolutely
not.
insane or independently, already very wealthy, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Not a lot of people ride like the bottom to the top. A lot
I
ride the
don't know.
top to the bottom, though.
Yeah,
Lots,
that's the more popular
lots ride
ride.
the top to the
I line
bottom.
up for that. Yeah.
It's a lot easier,
It's my
gravity
love
and all.
making skills, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's the conviction play. It's like I believe in it on the way down, on the way up. Shit,
Yeah.
money.
Just buy the dip. Keep buying.
Using your diamond hands all the way to the ground.
Yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think that people, at least through this last cycle, I got the feeling that people they take the diamond hand like it's with a grain of salt, right? Like people
Right.
know to take profits nowadays. At least I hope after last cycle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So besides these glorified JPEGs and the communities and that, Jonathan, where do you see the future of NFT is going? You know, how do you explain it to buds around a fireplace saying, "All right, what is this $1,000 NFT you just purchased or $1 million NFT you just purchased?" How do you justify that to a person that's just not in the space?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. So it's the one thing I just explained, which is the cryptographically gated communities that you can prove your membership of. And the other is a flex, which is, just like people have been doing for thousands of years. It's here's a thing that's expensive that I can afford. Like I could walk in with we could have the same watch on and people could find out that one of them was less expensive and they'd be less impressed by it, right? Oh, this one's actually, the first run in the factory. And they're like, oh shit, that one's really nice. Like it's just a flex, right? And the difference between a watch and an NFT flex, which again is provable, a lot more people are going to see your flex on Twitter than they're going to see your Lamborghini or whatever. So those are the two big things. I think it's the flex and the gated, cryptographically proven communities, and that could be knitting clubs, and that could be people who decide that they're in a cult and they're all going to kill themselves together. It could be anything that people want to have a meeting of the minds, and then say, okay, we think you should be in our group, and now you are in our group, and we can prove it.
Okay. Do you think people are washing money using NFTs?
Hmm. Like I don't know people. I don't see that. I don't have a lot of people who are making a lot of dirty money that they need to wash. But yes, I think so. But that's true about most financial products.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
And
just
that's
saying
true
from being a
with real
digital
artwork
asset.
as well, right? So
Yeah, that was. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
we used
how?
to in Ontario. We had a thing for a while where you could donate art at its appraisal value and get a charity receipt. So they would have these
Okay.
just shady guys that were writing ridiculous appraisals, and they'd have these other like these middlemen who would be like, "You buy this art for $500, we're going to give you a charity receipt. You give it back to us, we're going to give it a charity receipt for $5,000. All we want is $300 as a fee." And this was like people have been using art to evade taxes for a long time, and
yeah,
there are ways to. I think if anything, easier to crack down on that cryptographically on a blockchain where you're like, oh, you know you still have to be able to justify it. Like if the tax people were more sophisticated, it would be easier to crack down on a blockchain than it would be selling, some guy's art that you can claim is more valuable than it is.
right.
You can do in any case, but it just seems like there's more information there on a blockchain.
Yeah, I mean everything. There's a record on the blockchain, right? So there's no cash transactions on the blockchain.
But I'm drinking. This is my Angie's Pub Toronto mug. This is a
Oh.
Neo Tokyo meetup. Not my, I said mug. It's a glass.
So you guys had a Neo Tokyo meetup. Are you big in the Neo Tokyo?
Yeah, so I minted on day one. This is my favorite community by far, so it's not my saddest story, but I minted on day one. I actually minted identity number one, which was funny because it was by
Sure.
contract and it was a crazy mint day. We knew it was going to be valuable, but I thought I was typing in how many I wanted. I knew you could only mint one, so I wrote one, right? And I was in the first group, so I was like I easily could have not minted because someone else would have had the idea to get number one. But everybody else, it was like good game theory, right? It was an accident, but nobody's going to go for number one because then they're going to collide with somebody else. So I ended up minting number one.
Wow.
And those things, and it was a good one. So it was like an elite Neo Tokyo, and the all time high sales of those were like $400,000 or $500,000 early on.
Sure.
Wow.
But the problem was
And what did
at
they
that
mint
point it was
for?
mint like free. It was all free.
Oh, it was a
The whole
free mint.
project
Oh,
was.
wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Whoa.
this was like Elio and Becker's project that they
Yeah.
had riddles for, and they were going to
Oh,
be the
that's right.
Illuminati of Web3 and metaverse and all that. So it
Wow.
was, yes, and like CEOs of things were buying in because of Becker and Elio, um, and so yeah. So anyways, we held it to a lot of us are still in it. We held it very high, but at the time they were yielding bytes, which is an ERC 20. So like when you're making $1,000 a day, this thing's shooting up in value. It's easy to hold on to, and then it's like, oh well, maybe keep holding, and then now the floor on the elites might be like $20,000 or something like that. I absolutely still consider it a blue chip, and the communities, like, those founders are still very involved. I've become I'm on the leadership committee there, and there's basically just it's a lot of people for whom $400,000 maybe wasn't worth it if it was meant leaving a strong enough community in this space, and other people who watch that happen and come in and want to build and be part of that. So like people are very active, and there's lots of subgroups of build, like there's art guys for visual and coding and all sorts of things, and a lot of cool projects have come out of it.
Yeah. So is that like one of the main benefits of being in an NFT group like that you're connecting with
That one.
Okay. Like that particular
Yeah,
group.
so
Are you in any others, or is that that's your favorite?
well, like, so in the last cycle, CyberCons was probably the most valuable that I was in, because they
Yeah.
were, I don't know, somehow circle jerked everything to success, right? Like I minted anonymized, and I sold them for like half an ETH each, and then they went to like, I don't know, 14, if you guys remember that project. It was ridiculous.
Right.
And then we're talking like $3,000-4,000 for an ETH at the time, or two to three. So, I wasn't smart enough to hold them, but I was minting these things. Like, what else? Like Moonbirds, I think I minted, right? Like that
Yeah,
was,
I remember.
I didn't hold that one long enough either. But these CyberCons, like, they were just deciding what to pump, and they'd all pump it, and then everybody else wanted to get in. So, that was a good project, a good community to be in for alpha. I'm sure that'll be different next cycle. But like I said, if you're into anime, you might find a community of just people and that you want to spend time with, talking to on the internet. Like, it really depends on what you're looking for. And as you join the space and spend time in it, on the discords, I think you'll find which are more valuable and which are sort of the ones that people are missing out on, because like this really good community, and actually people remember each other's nicknames, and no one cares to get in, so the floor price is low, but it's a good community. That's the kind of thing I
Right.
would be looking for.
Yeah. So for some of our listeners that are maybe new to crypto or new to the NFT space, like a community like that, or a community like Neo Tokyo, for instance, a lot of people when they first come into this are just like, why on earth would anybody spend that kind of money for that? They don't see the value in that community. So like, can you delve in a little bit further into like the value of the community of something like Neo Tokyo? Like, is it it's a bunch of guys that kind of OGs in the space that are getting together and learning together, or is there more to it?
No, and I think you'll find that the OGs in the space are on Telegram, and they're pretty inactive right now. They come around for the hypes of the cycle. They'll either be the influencers, or have links to the influencers, or have made millions of dollars on certain projects last cycle, and they just become sort of like a little bit of VCs by themselves, or they're part of a bunch of VC pool groups. But they're on Telegram. The people on the Discords are the somewhat newer people, and they're coming in from a business background, or they're coming in from just an interest in crypto and wanting to go full force into it. And they're there to build and work and find out how their skill sets match up with a project, or start a project and find other. The Neo Tokyo, I would say, is mostly people who either want to be involved in projects, or start their own, or find partners to do those sorts of things. And like, I can think of several projects that are launching or have launched out of there that have just done very well, or I'm very excited about. Like Non-Fungible Arcade just came out. I don't know if you've heard of that one. That seems really cool. Naffles is coming out. Like, you can run your own like meta. What's that? What, the one where you can do raffles, but it's centralized. This one you can have your
Yeah,
own,
right.
where you like oversell tickets, and then the winner gets a good deal. There's some really cool things coming out of it. So it's a place for founders to meet, and people who want to join those founders on their projects,
Yeah.
and where they'd find
Obviously,
resources. Like if you're like, oh, does anyone know how to make music for anime? Or there's a whole division for music and projects and things like that.
I think a tight knit
Great.
community, as well as guys. You don't just have one person researching a project. You have dozens or hundreds of people saying, "Hey, what about this?" And people using their own skill sets, and that's basically pushing out better alpha that potentially could send a project, as opposed to getting into a general public group and you just don't know what information or scam information is being thrown at you. So it's more trusted relationship. And then the second thing I just wanted to say was on the highs from a business point of view, right? So you in these communities, you love the communities, you obviously play an important, vital role. It's similar to those days of RSC where, your name commands a bit of respect. Have you gotten any businesses from these tight knit communities? Has there been any value for you other than obviously getting alpha and getting into projects and making money in that way? But from the actual day to day legal side, have you gotten business from your communities?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I've gotten business anywhere else on the legal side in crypto. That's the only place. The website is there so to give people that have found me an idea of what I do, but I'm not, I'm not running ads or anything like that. So I think the answer is all of the business that I've made in crypto as a lawyer has come from those communities. But also, and I don't want to downplay, like for crypto, you have to have a bunch of sieves for alpha, right? And by alpha, I just mean, so again, we're buying and selling unregistered securities using inside information against retail. So it's obvious that there are ethical problems with that, but you're going to want to get that inside information. Otherwise, you're just the end of that story, right? So, anyone I know who's made money in crypto, yeah, a lot of those are, I mean, sure, there's some good conviction plays. Like I bought Polkadot when it came out and I just believe in it and I was there till $40 and I was smart enough to sell the top. Okay, there's a conviction play. But most of the big money is like, okay, I got into Super Farm as a pre-sale. I put 5,000. Remember, none of these are me, but I put $5,000 into Super Farm at a penny, and at $4, that was my life was set. That's the more likely story.
Mm.
Right.
And
And
from
you get into
highs
those
to
pre-sales
lows,
by knowing people.
Yeah. Have you been following the spat between the CoffeeZilla and Logan Paul?
Logan Paul. Yeah, I mean, you could call it that. He kind of threw a
So that's a
tantrum
crypto zoo
and then
project that went south. He was, as an influencer, he was shilling the project that technically wasn't even built. All right.
yeah, what I mean is
So
there
from a
wasn't
legal
really a
side,
spat. It was like he had a tantrum and then rolled it back, but he got caught by a journalist, right?
yeah.
But he's refunding everyone for the mint, from what I can tell, and he was not the one that dumped all the shitcoins on all his followers. It sounds to me like he had the intention of making a project. He partnered up with one of these guys that I'm describing right now. I don't remember his name, but it's basically one of those OG Telegram guys who's like, yeah, I'll show you the ropes. We'll do a stealth launch. That way we're not selling a token to anyone. We'll just be the ones to buy it first for free. And which is what people were doing at the time. And they're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Meanwhile, he's like, oh, these bots keep botting it. And, damn bots. And he's building up a cache of like a massive supply of tokens. They blacklisted him because of that. He argued with them and ended up getting a lot of tokens back and dumped them. Of course he did. And he had other wallets they didn't even know about. So that just destroyed the project. I don't think Logan Paul meant to have, unusable eggs for millions of dollars. And I don't think he's smart enough to have done anything except for just like hide under the desk and keep his money. But he got called out and he's giving it back. So see if he goes to jail.
We'll wait
I
and
even
see.
believe that Chris of DAO Maker is now doing like a Degen Zoo, he calls it, and it's somewhat not related, but it's based off the zoo launch of Logan Paul. I think he's trolling him a little bit there as well.
Yeah, look. I think if you can make money in the space, and if you can make good money, and it's not hurting anyone, by which I mean it's all zero sum, but at least people know what they're getting into. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like if you watch the CoffeeZilla video and you put on a different lens, it's like I spent my whole life savings on these pictures of eggs, and my wife left me, and it's all Logan Paul's fault. Like, hold on, let's go back to that at the beginning of that sentence. You spent your whole life savings on pictures of eggs, and then what happened? So, like, there's blame to go around. Like, I don't know that it's fair to say everyone should have thought that this was a good idea.
Well, it's kind of the wild, wild west, right? I mean, you have to have absolute personal responsibility here, or you're never going to make it in crypto.
Well,
I mean,
that's the
crypto
thing.
isn't
It's
like
not the
the
Wild West,
real world. What's that?
right? But he lives in the real world, and
Well,
it's
right,
like,
exactly.
so he might find out that there are, like, you can give the money back, but that's not a defense in criminal court, right? In fact,
Right,
it's an admission of
exactly.
guilt.
Right. No, I kind of meant the users on their, I mean, it's buyer
You
beware,
can get it.
right? I mean,
Yeah, and he look.
in anything, but in crypto for sure, because there's no real getting it back. I mean, they can sue them or whatever. And that's a little different case, but a lot of these projects that are formed in some country that doesn't necessarily have very strong laws, you're never getting your money back if they pull the rug.
Well, he's probably also giving them. He's probably market buying the Ethereum to give them back at a much cheaper value than he market dumped it when he got it.
Right.
But still, it's an interesting story. I think CoffeeZilla is great. Um,
Yeah, he's amazing.
like, it's nice to, especially this series of videos. It's funny to watch because like, he's so smart and he's on top of it, and to watch these guys on the other side try to lie, and it's like that conversation with that agent or whatever it was, where he was like, yeah, I'm not threatening you, but like it's like the law, you have to report because the law. It was just like it went on, and it was just so embarrassing for the guy because he was like, you have to report the truth, and he's like, well, that's why I'm calling you. What is the truth? He's like, well, I'm not going to comment.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, it was just this baffling.
Mhm.
poor guy. But yeah, I'm glad to have him in the space because it's at least it's keeping people honest, and he's calling out people that deserve to be.
Yeah, and Zach
Right.
XBT, he's been doing a good job. Well, you're not going to have the New York Times doing these, on-chain analysis, catching people out, calling people out. I don't know why. They probably could figure it out, but they're not doing it.
I think it's too much work for them.
Right.
Yeah,
Too busy with
I mean,
nonsense politics.
there used to be investigative journalism at those places, but I don't know if it pays the bills anymore.
Mhm.
All right, and before we move on to our Dad's Got Jokes segment, Jonathan, tell us. All right, so you told us a bit. You love the customers that are interested in setting up businesses. Do you do any litigation by any chance?
Yeah, so I happen to. I basically do like the business stuff. I basically do whatever I did because I worked for a firm for 2 years when I finished law school, and I basically just do whatever I did then. Our small claims court was, I think it was 25,000. Now it's 35,000. So it's a pretty high amount that my clients actually benefit if I need to, you know, chase an invoice or fight over some sort of smaller contract. Then I can do that. I don't have the resources, or I don't have a team to do the bigger stuff. And if I did do that, I probably wouldn't also do the business stuff. So I do litigate, but just small claims here.
Okay. All right. And guys looking to get hold of you, Jonathan, where can they reach you?
So you can go to lawyered.vip. You can find my contact on there, or you could go to Twitter. It's at bitgrateful.
Perfect.
That's
Perfect.
I got a Grateful Dead tattoo on here somewhere.
Mike, Ryan, any other questions you want to ask Jonathan before we get on to some serious stuff?
Yeah, I was thinking about the what you mentioned earlier about the cryptographically identities, right? That you assure identities that way.
Mhm.
Combined with NFTs, do you feel like soul-bound NFTs would play a great role in that, or would that be done differently? Or what are your thoughts on soul-bound
Yeah, no,
NFTs anyway?
I do think they're very interesting, and there's probably a lot more that you could do with them than I've even thought about. Um, yeah, like it's more likely if you really wanted to prove that the person is who they say they are. So I'm thinking, okay, so let's think about some big NFT art collector or something. Would it make a difference if that wallet had a soul-bound token on it for you to know that they are who they say they are? We already can do that, right?
Hmm.
I mean, if they lost physical the keys to their wallet, then it wouldn't make a difference. That would be true even if they had the soulbound token. And if all the NFTs moved to another wallet, you wouldn't be like, oh, he's over there now, right? You'd want an explanation. So I don't know. I'd have to think. I haven't thought enough about soulbound NFTs.
Oh yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if that's the
That's what
problem it solves.
that's what I thought a little bit. If I would attach your identity or your reputation to because I know you off your profile picture of the citizen for Neo Tokyo, and you would sell it, for instance, would I then uh, um,
No, it's
get
the
your identity,
wallet.
see if your identity is, oh yeah, that's the wallet basically.
Well, yeah. So I mean, to some extent, we have a bunch of ways that are that we use to sort of suss out the truth, right? So we might check their Twitter, and if I'm selling my PFP, then I might want to make sure that everybody knows that. So I don't necessarily
Mm,
think so. I At least that's interesting, and we can think about what that means. Or even if one pseudonym only has to be having one wallet, I don't think that's the case. You have hundreds of wallets, and they're all, so and so's.
yeah.
That's whose wallet they are. For me, the more interesting thing is, well, yes, so twofold, I guess, proving who you are and that you're a member of a certain community. But I don't think it's as easy as where a certain NFT lies. There's more to it, I think.
So what happens, Jonathan, whereby there was the famous incident where Seth Green owned Bored Apes, right? And his ape got stolen, but he created a cartoon series which was about to go live. And, and the whole thing about crypto is if it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. And if it's not your JPEG, it's not your asset, right? So twofold. If I own a Tesla and you come to my house and you indefinitely borrow it, right, I still have ownership of it, right? To some point, there's paperwork associated to it. But if I bought a very expensive NFT and now someone has taken it from me, taken the Tesla, taken the JPEG, the community was saying he could not launch that asset because he did not have ownership of it. So what is your thoughts on that?
Some of this, I think, is jurisdictional. Your example is a good one because if that guy steals your car and then I buy the car, I have to give it back to you. I have a stolen item in my possession. I don't say finders keepers to you. You're like, hey, dude, that's my car. Someone stole it last night. I'm not like fair and square. I paid for it from the guy who stole it from you, right? So I think you're right. I think just losing possession isn't enough to say you don't own it. I think you then have to find the owner, sue them, or go ahead and use your IP. And if that new owner wants to have a problem with it, you're like, dude, that's mine, right? So I think that deals with that. But the other thing to consider is making an NFT with art on it doesn't give any rights. Selling it certainly doesn't change those rights. The rights in the art, in most jurisdictions that I understand, is the artist. They made the art. And if you want to change that, there's got to be some sort of contract. If I sell you a piece of art that I made, you can't go use it in ads, right? I still have a moral right to the art. You own it. You own the physical piece. I would need that's why if you see independent contractor agreements that have art involved, like I promise that everything I make for you is owned by you, the worldwide this and that, and you know, you've got a lot of language for that. You're not just going to say you're making art for me, I'll pay you $50 because then you're going to run into problems. So the same thing is, so when you look at a Bored Ape or something, then you ask, well, where did the art, who owned the rights when it was born, when the picture was born? Well, that's the artist. Well, then it went, how did it get to me? So I guess it went to the project. Hopefully they had a pretty good contract. And then from the project, it went to me. Well, that's got to be based on a terms of service. It's not just like some obvious legal or ethical thing that if I mint an NFT with an ape
Yeah, I
on
think
it,
they
I now
gave the
have
IP
commercial rights.
to to the owners.
Right,
Yeah.
by a terms of service or some sort of agreement with the buyer, the minter, or the public, where you say, if you hold one, but that's now I'm getting those. So the rights were born with the artist. They moved by contract to the project, and then by contract to me. Then so at least you can trace it and say, okay, now I know where it came from. Now, if someone steals it, I think that you have that problem of um, it's still mine. But if you sell it, then I think that the answer would be in the terms of service, which probably say once you sell it, you don't own the IP anymore, and you're going to have to stop using it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Ryan, your last question there. It's got to catch you off guard.
I think we've gotten through all my questions, so I think we're ready to move on.
Michael, on your side.
Well, I had one. It's a closed-end question because obviously you're very knowledgeable about the space and business-wise as well. It's just not the legal aspect of it. You mentioned you're in the leadership council of Neo Tokyo. Do you take like advisory roles as well for projects, or do you focus solely on the legal aspect and
I have
doing your services?
There's many projects that I've taken an advisory role on. For the most part, it's ones that I've done some work for and then sort of kick around as an advisor. But I'm open to the idea, sure.
All right, cool. So any project listening to this could approach you for either advisory roles or the prospect of an advisory position, or.
So to be honest, in my business, in my real world business, it's a lot of people find me on Google, and I give flat rates for everything. So, I try to figure out what I can do. Here's what you need a contract like this. Here's what it would cost, no matter how much back and forth or whatever. And I don't have the time to try to like milk everyone who calls me. If someone calls me with a question, and I think I could just answer it and then be done with it, I'll just answer it. And the same thing is true on Twitter with the crypto stuff. If someone's like, "Hey, I got a question," it's not like, "Oh, well, let me onboard you and figure out how I can make $600 off of you." Like, I'm just going to answer the question. And in a lot of cases, that's all you need. But that being said, it's possible that I would sit on as an advisor.
Awesome.
So if a project, for instance, wanted to hire you, is there an option they can put you on retainer, that kind of thing, to actually be their lawyer, their crypto lawyer?
Yeah, I don't really deal with that usually. Like if they hire me for something, the only thing that matters, I guess, is if you place me in a conflict of interest, right? So if you hire me for something, then I may or may not be in a conflict working with one of your competitors later, but we can cross that bridge when we come to it in most cases. But I like to give flat rates. So usually I'd say, here's the thing I think you should do, or I think here's your options, what I think, depending on your budget, and here are the flat rates, and they can decide if they want to move forward. Because, I very early on realized that I didn't want to be chasing people for their bills, and I just wanted to know I was going to get paid, and then let's just do this thing properly. I spent 1 year, I was like, whoa, a lot of people who hadn't paid me, right? So I just stopped working that way.
Great. I think that's actually a great way to work, especially for this space where, you're running into new issues all the time. It's a little bit different here than in the regular business world, I think.
Well, and I think the fees that they pay up front is far smaller than what the damages that could happen later on if they get it wrong. If the project does sell out millions, and
that's only if you're comparing it to not getting a lawyer. But if you're comparing it to getting a lawyer by the hour, then it's also like they're only doing that to disguise the fact that they want to charge you more money. And when I worked at a firm, there's something that they don't really tell you. I don't know if it's only in law firms, but at least everyone I've spoken to, you're not allowed to bill less than a 0.1. So if they're like, go respond to 45, how many emails can you respond to in an hour if they're brief? Well, okay, call it 30, 40. That's a lot of 0.1s in an hour, right? So now you've just billed 4 or 5 hours in 1 hour, and it's perfectly legal. And I don't really know why. So yeah, the hourly thing bugged me.
Yeah.
There's an old joke that the lawyer dies and goes to heaven, and he goes to St. Peter. He goes, "Why am I here? I'm 35. Like, I don't understand. I have this whole life to live." And he goes, "Hold on. Judging by your billable hours, it says you're 80. Thank you. Thanks for laughing.
Thank goodness that wasn't your dad joke, huh? Save that
yeah,
one.
You should have saved that one, Jonathan.
Was that a dad?
No, that one would have gone over the kids' heads, I think. But.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
Are we doing that?
No lawyers go to heaven, except for you, Jono. All right, cool, guys. So this sums it up. Jonathan, thank you very much for your insight and knowledge. Hope you're not billing us. And this is the Dad's Got Jokes section, right? So we like to spice things up a little bit. And sorry again.
He just turned off his clock. No.
Just a point one, Jonathan.
Please send it to Michael at
Just 45.1.
All right, cool. So it's our Dad's Got Jokes segment. We like to spice things up a little bit. So the rules of the game is simple. Each crypto dad will tell a joke. The other dads will take a swig of their beer or whiskey. Michael doesn't have any beer. He's got some expensive whiskey. And what's going to happen is you hold it in your mouth. You tell the joke. If there's any spilling, or laughter, all right, you are out. All right, you can still tell your joke, but you are out. And then what will happen if no one laughs out of all the dad jokes, we'll vote on who's the best dad joke. And then all three that didn't win will down their beer or drink. Cool. So that's simple. So who are we going to start with? Ryan, since I think you won last one, all right, with your joke. All right.
I believe I'm one up on you guys, so sure, I'll start.
Cool.
Let me think of a quick little dad joke here while you guys have a drink.
All right. So I've got my Corona Extra, keeping it still part of the national theme.
Oh, that's cool. I'm finishing off my Yamazaki bottle.
Yamazaki.
Excellent.
And Jonathan, what are you drinking there? Good old.
This is some Stoli imported from Russia.
Nice.
Very nice.
Illegal
All right, everybody
drinking.
take a swig. I've got a joke for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know what the drummer named his twin daughters? And a 1 and a 2. Come on.
That was close. Very close. That was very close.
That was good. Yeah.
That was pretty good. Well done. Well done.
All right.
No cigar. Michael, you're up.
Let me get a swig here.
All right, I got a pretty cheesy one here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call a group of guys waiting a line at the barbershop? A barbecue. Didn't do it, huh?
Nicely themed, deadly themed, but not quite.
Good theme. Not quite spit my beer worthy though.
No,
I was in a pretty good
sacred
mood before
goods. Just dampen the mood, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan, you are up.
All right. Well, this is easy because it's a tattoo I have. What's brown and sticky? A stick.
That's terrible. Jonathan, I'm going to charge you for that one. That was terrible. The first time you told us.
Nobody got any laughs.
I'll take a 0.1 off for you.
Yeah, you take 0.1 off. All right, my turn. Let's do this. Okay, since we'll keep it Daddy-O themed. All right. This is definitely up your alley there, Michael, with your 14 kids. Okay, here we go. If a child refuses to sleep during nap time, are they guilty of resisting arrest? No, nothing. Cheap crowd.
Well, I mean,
we're looking at the same darn joke book because that was my next one on my list. So.
Oh, you guys! I thought we had to read off the tattoos.
Mine's my inner thigh. All right, so we've got to vote. Who do you think was the best joke, Jonathan? In fact, you can nominate. Who was the best besides yourself?
I think yours was the best.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Okay,
actually,
guys.
no. I think I'm sorry, Mike. Sorry, which was the Anna? Who did the drummer? Ryan?
Oh, that was mine. The Anna
one.
one.
Change it now. This is typical lawyers.
Oh, sorry.
You say
sorry.
one thing, you bill us.
Yeah,
he just misspoke.
No. You gave us advice. Then he billed us, and he changed it. Now I'm left drinking. All right. So who won? Ryan again.
Did I? I don't know.
Yeah,
Michael, who'd you vote for? Oh, all right. Anna 1, Anna 2 gets me 2 gets me too up on you guys.
I'm going stick. I like the stick, Jack. All right.
I also like it because I like the idea of naming your kids the same name. It would be really interesting.
Like Elon Musk's ex-kid.
My kids laughed really hard at that one, so that's why I went with it.
Yeah. At some point,
Mike,
you just
can I see your
numbered them.
Yamasuki drink there, please?
My kids don't laugh.
Where's your
They just
Yamasuki drink?
yell at me.
What was that?
Where's your drink?
It's empty now.
Empty. Did you pour a tot?
No, it's
Isn't it 300?
almost finished.
Isn't it 340 mils?
Oh, do we need to chug it as well?
You got to jug
Yeah,
it.
you lost. You got to chug that drink.
Shit.
All right, Ryan, this is unacceptable. That's 2-0.
Yes,
That's better.
excellent. We're discovering that I'm the funny one.
That is a low bar.
That is a very low bar.
Ryan, you have been around the longest. You should have more jokes than us.
Oh, wow.
All right, guys.
I've been telling
concludes-
dad jokes for well over 20 years. So
Seem to be. I can't say that last bit.
So, Jonathan, we like to ask all of our guests, what, in your opinion, is the best way not to get fucked in crypto?
Keep it.
Keep it.
Keep it. All right, that's
Hold
very
it close.
simple. Keep it.
Short and
Do you want to
sweet.
expand on keep it or just stick
Don't
with
give it-
just
Don't give it all to somebody else in the hopes that they're going to give you that and a little bit more back.
excellent?
Like it.
That is
Oh, yeah.
that is perfect.
Do
Top
people
tip
still
from
fall
our
for that
lawyer.
anyway? Send me 1 ETH and I'll send you 2 back.
Well, no, it's or I mean, be careful of DeFi going forwards. You know, protocols get hacked, and just be careful.
Right. Yeah, all the
Luna.
newbies out there, I'm sure still some of them still fall for the send me one and I'll give you 2 back. The or the
Well, it's the initiation.
YouTube videos
It's like,
that go out there for it.
if you're going to get into something you don't understand with real money, you're going to do some research, or you're going to be like, you can't be your own bank without doing some research and trying to have your wits about you. Otherwise, stay with legacy while you can.
So is it illegal to initiate newbies by asking them for one ETH and they'll get 2 back?
No, I think it's
No,
okay.
no.
Yeah, no, as long I think they say a fool of their money, something about it becomes legal. I think, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just call it a school, and then we'll say this is your school fees. Welcome to crypto.
Yeah, you just have to be a Congress person first.
Right.
Yeah. Aspiration for one day. All right, cool. Jonathan, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. I know it's very valuable to have a person like you on board. And we would ask that if we do have some pressing questions every now and again, that you would pop in and share your knowledge with our community. And we'll definitely send all our listeners, all 2 or 3 of them at the moment, to you and futures.
That's us,
And
right?
just thank you for your time.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Jonathan. It's nice talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan.
You too.
Keep well.
care.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.
The material and information presented in this recording are for entertainment purposes only. Do not misconstrue what you hear as investment or trading advice. Always do your own research. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by the guests on this recording are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Dad's Gone Crypto or its hosts.